Welcome to the session. Welcome to Next. Everyone having a good time so far? Yes. Absolutely. I like that. Vibrant folks. I need my clicker. Sorry about my voice, but the desert is not playing well for me and all of the speaking that we've been doing. But I really appreciate everyone coming out to this session. Very excited to have a panel of our customers with us to speak their story around frontline workers and why they made the decision to choose Workspace as their technology partner. So we'll be bringing them up in just a moment. We'll have a really nice dialogue, and there will be an opportunity at the end for Q&A for you all. My name is MacDonald. I'm the Global Director for Growth Solutions and Strategy for Workspace, and so excited to be speaking with you all. And just laying the foundation, I'm going to provide a little introduction as to why we see so much opportunity in the frontline worker space and why a lot of companies are placing focus and attention on this. And then we're going to invite our guests up. We're going to have a conversation about their journey, and then an opportunity again at the end for you all to have a conversation with them. So why is this of focus to so many organizations and to large organizations like ourselves? For a long time, the frontline workforce, which represents roughly 80% of the workforce globally, has been largely underserviced or unserviced for reasons of technological gaps or inability to secure a transaction or a device in someone's hand. And so it created some friction and problems around communication, how organizations were training their users. But a lot of that changed about 10 years ago as we started to see the onslaught of mobility really take hold. And it also started to make people familiar with technologies that we could put into their hands very easily to enable them to be power users and to communicate with them. And so if you take a look at the three tenets and why we feel this is important to design to, or what we need to be considering as we approach this opportunity, is that we have to cater to an evolving workforce. We have to understand that the profile of our frontline worker probably has a great deal of familiarity, like I was saying, with these technologies, and that presents opportunity for us. It's also become much easier to secure that endpoint, and so again, it's opening up opportunities for us, and emerging technologies are taking hold because users are adopting them themselves and showing us as IT leaders what they would like to be using, how fast they would like to be moving. All right, go back. The other thing we're seeing is the onslaught of intelligence and how much that is playing into the decisions that organizations are making, that people are making, and how quickly we're moving our business. Has anyone heard AI here this week, or generative AI? Presents a massive opportunity, but a lot of these things, in some of the sessions you may have seen, AI is not a new concept. It's 14 years in the making and has evolved to so many things that are right in the device you're holding there. So we're creating models that can run complex LLMs right on that device, in addition to running very complex in the larger infrastructure of cloud. And so large opportunity in how we train and communicate and create sophisticated, intelligent workflows with those frontline workers. And then the last piece is doing this responsibly and reliably, and understanding that we have that foundation of security. Again, that was one of the barriers to entry or even considering this about 5 years ago. But now is an opportunity to embrace it, and we have organizations that have done that with us and gone on this journey. So what does the modern employee experience look like? Obviously, video chat, the ability to communicate with our workforce presents a number of opportunities around enablement, but even feedback loop. What are they seeing in the field? What are they seeing from our customers? And even to provide empowerment and opportunity for those employees. The information they need access to very quickly that may change very rapidly. And again, security without compromise, but also security that has lower touch, lower investment in maintenance and management. Because if it's overly complicated and requires too much of our budget to maintain it, it may not be worth the investment in the journey to begin with. And then again, scalable intelligence that's changing all the time. So the conversations that I'm having with folks obviously start with the human experience. And we saw with COVID coming about and so many people being forced to work in different situations, frontline worker was not a new concept, but it forced us to look at the user base in a much different manner. How are people interacting with one another? Well, these groups of individuals have often been used to communicating, collaborating with one another or with corporate office in a relatively disconnected fashion to begin with. So they were already in this paradigm. But we were able to now understand how do we apply technology to solve the gaps in some of those cases. Increasing operational efficiencies as well, and providing that feedback loop back to corporate. What is working, what is not working? We worked with an organization last year that had been attempting to do this for about 3 years with their current partner and kept hitting brick walls around change. Their users weren't able to change quickly enough, and each of the users' problems in terms of adapting to the technology were different than the next, which created bloat and overhead for them to have to deal with. And then the biggest piece, again, is in the risk management piece of it, moving from castle and moat approach, where we have security very well locked down for our own networks, takes on a very different life of its own when you're trusting that someone with a device in their hand is going to be highly secure and protect your intellectual property. So to the change aspect of it, the reason I put this slide up here, and some of you, I see some familiar faces in the audience, how many people know how many services globally have over 1 billion active daily users? No hands. Okay, we're up to 16. This one's an easier one. How many do you think Google runs? 10. So that's a lot of data, a lot of patterns, a lot of information around how users interact, but it also creates a lot of familiarity around how a user is going to interact with communication, collaboration, their colleagues, et cetera, or even ingest information and knowledge. So when we start to work with organizations, like the one I was mentioning, they had a really hard time with the change aspect of getting to their frontline workers when they started to enable them. And they realized that, again, the challenges of training them, there were nuances in the questions and the support tickets that were coming in. When they started down this journey with us, they realized very quickly that the change problem wasn't there for them. Their workforce was already enabled in a lot of these technologies because they had already used them in their personal lives and they were carrying them around in their pocket for quite some time. So that changes the game for us and again presents another opportunity. But I don't want you to just hear it from me. Obviously, we want you to hear from our valued customers. And so I'm going to welcome my friends to the stage. Heejung and Jason, please welcome me up on the stage. Heejung.
Thank you.
Jason.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So we're going to give you both a moment to introduce yourself, but I thought you each had pretty impressive videos, which I thought we thought as a team did a great job of describing your organizations. So we're going to play that, and we'll give you each an opportunity to introduce yourself and your organizations.
We welcome you on board Korean Air.
Excellence in Flight, Korean Air.
Excellent. Well, Heejung, that was an amazing video. My slide was the favorite part of the scene. Looked like the most fun, but I'm going to give you a few moments to introduce yourself and your organization.
First, let me introduce myself. My name is Heejung Choi. I'm the Deputy CIO of Korean Air. I'm working on application modernization project, which is aiming to provide better service by improving agents' employees' experience. This is about me, and Now I'd like to say Korean Air to you. We celebrated Korean Air's 55th anniversary last month. In 1969, Korean Air started as a small airline with just 8 aircraft. Since then, we striven to develop new market and improve customer service through continuous innovation and investment. So now I think Korean Air now has grown up into global airlines. We fly to 120 cities over the world. Yeah, this is about Korean Air. And the reason why I selected this video clip, this is our brand clip. I think that it shows our frontline workers well. It is linked to today's topic.
Absolutely. Thank you. Jason, it's your turn for your video.
Awesome.
Different bend on
Yes,
this one.
a little bit.
Choice Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be.
You could be a free hot breakfast hero at a comfort hotel.
Yes!
That's how you waffle.
Mr. This script got a plot twist at a Radisson hotel.
A business big leaguer.
Go for key.
Even the ultimate pool float inflator.
With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Book direct at choicehotels.com, where travels come true.
Gotta get the corners.
I love that production. It was good. Jason, a little bit about yourself and the organization.
Sure, yeah, I'm VP of Engineering at Choice Hotels. I run all of our cloud engineering and then what we call franchisee systems. And really, Choice as a company has 22 brands. We're global, 7,500 different hotels, 80 years old, and we're constantly trying to, help our franchisees just improve on how they can give service to the guests.
Love it. I love it. So I'm going to start with you, Jason, who I think we can tell who your frontline workers are, but do you categorize them? How do you describe your frontline workers within the hotel?
Yeah, ours are a little different because they're franchisees, right? So we don't own any of the hotels. We own like a tiny little fraction of the 7,500. And so our franchisees have workers, frontline work, basically the front desk worker. They have salespeople, the general manager. And so it's just the people in that hotel trying to provide great service to the guests. That's really who our frontline workers are.
Excellent. Same question for you, Heejung.
Yeah, as you could see previous video clip, Korean Air frontline employees include a broad range of workers. At first, we have airport staff who interact with customers at the check-in counter and boarding gate. And also we have pilots and flight attendants on our airplanes. And also we have mechanics for the aircraft maintenance. They are more than half of our whole employees, and they take important role for our customers travel securely.
More than half, okay.
Yeah, more
What's the
than half.
percentage for you all, Jason?
Number,
Don't know.
well,
Percentage?
of like total, so they're not our employees, right?
It's fair. That's
Right,
fair.
so, but like it's the number of accounts, like could be close to 19,000 or something. And then our employee base, just the standard corporate employee is only 1,600, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Heejung, what were some of the challenges you were facing with your frontline workers when you started on this journey?
Yeah, we have many examples for a few come to mind. Lots of information we need to manage has legal implications. So we think about the ways how we finding and sharing information more securely. Especially during the COVID, travel restrictions were changing so fast, and we needed to update materials quickly based on travel restrictions, which are frequently changing, even daily basis on changes which may have been taking place. So, we were thinking about how we could share information quickly and in real time. And also, recently, we are thinking about how we can help our crews who serves customer, and how we can help our mechanics who handles millions parts execute their work efficiently.
Excellent. And Jason, for you, where they're not your employees, what does that look like? What are some of the challenges that you manage?
Well, it is around that franchise model, right? So we're trying to give a guest experience across these franchises that's equivalent and a really good experience. And so if you think about like a fast casual dining experience, like maybe at Chipotle, where all of their restaurants are corporate owned, it's almost the exact same experience every time you go in. Counter that to like Subway, which is a franchise model like us. It's also very similar experience across that because they have these brand standards and they've given technology out there to serve their guests, right? So if you think about the way we do it at Choice, we're trying to give technology to those franchisees. So their frontline workers are giving kind of great experiences, whether they're at the Comfort Inn or whatever, across all those brands. So that it's just a great experience.
No, that makes perfect sense. So Jason, what are some of the ways you've used Workspace so far to solve some of these challenges, to create that consistency in that brand?
Yeah, the big thing that we lean into is the collaborative inbox within Workspace, because if any guest emails into the hotel, we want someone at that hotel to be able to respond to them quickly, answer their question, help them with their reservation, whatever the case is. And so by leveraging collaborative inbox where multiple people could actually respond to the guest, helps speed up that time to getting their answer and hopefully gives them, a better experience.
And with that standardization, are you communicating at all in terms of to the franchise owners in terms of how you want them to?
Yeah, I mean, we regularly communicate to our franchise owners at those email accounts so that they're getting the latest. Maybe we change a brand standard, or during COVID when things were happening and we were rolling out programs to help them kind of get more people in their hotels. So that's definitely we leverage that scale to be able to help them help the guest.
Makes sense. Heejung, same thing.
Yeah, we have tried digitize paper manuals and reference, and I think we could realize paper is working environment thanks to Google Workspace. But there was a frustration before we digitize paper manuals, because people, frontline workers, doing something wrong due to past information, because many of frontline workers are working under limited internet and printer access environment. So we adopt Google Workspace, and now we can utilize Google Workspace and chat, so we can publish updated manuals in real time, and in emergency cases, we can publish comments to a bunch of groups in real time.
That's excellent. So with all the buzz that we're hearing with generative AI, I think we have to at least address it. Are there any plans with your organizations on how you might consider using it in the future?
Do you want to go first, Heejung?
Okay. Actually, we are doing some POC, so we'd like to test it to see if the Gen AI could assist or improve our frontline workers' efficiency. Because frontline workers often encounter very sensitive moments, which are supposed to act quickly without any mistake. So we want to have them do their work with confidence and not losing their way in the huge amount of data. So I think Gen AI could assist them to find correct information when they do their work.
Yeah, for us, John, it's really leaning into the corporate side more, where any kind of those knowledge workers, maybe marketing, trying to help them get copy out or whatever. And then we're a technology org, so we have a lot of software developers. And then we're leaning into Gen AI to potentially help them deliver, features and functionality faster. So, anything in those areas where we think it's going to be a game changer in terms of, leverage and efficiency to be able to drive, more value. Like, I'd love to say that one day our organization stays flat and we only have 1,600 corporate employees, but now we have 9,000 hotels that we support instead of 7,500. So ways for us to get more profitable because of that efficiency is definitely something we're looking into. And we're in the POC, kind of
Same
realm right now too.
Same realm, okay. Well, definitely let us know how we can help you.
Yeah.
What's a key piece of advice you'd give to the audience for folks that wanted to show up, let us hear about Frontline with you all? What were some good, the bad, otherwise?
Well, you touched on it in your talk, and I think it's, even though I know it's true, we still were hesitant. So when we deployed Workspace to our frontline workers, we kind of took a measured approach, and we just kind of chugged along and got it to all of those different brands. And the reason we did that was because our property support people were worried about supporting Workspace while it was getting rolled out. Well, it turned out everybody has a Gmail account, right? We don't need to worry about it. Most of the universities and the high schools in the United States leverage Workspace. So and everybody has a Gmail account. So there was no support issues. We could have went a lot faster. So my point is we could have just deployed and gotten out of this transitionary mode much, much quicker.
It's fair. Heejung? Question?
Yeah. When we adopted Google Workspace, we just wanted to have our frontline workers not stop bringing their paper manuals to their work no more. But now we have started too many documents and redundancies. So now it could make them confused. So now through this experience, we realized that we understand that lifecycle management, document lifecycle management is more important for improving efficiency. So now we are working on renew our document lifecycle and security policy.